And now, CL 650 presents your source for leading-edge news and information on today's hottest products and services. This is Experts on Call.
Because you had a bad day, you take it one down, you sing a sad song just to turn it around.
And welcome to Experts on Call on CL 650. I'm Joanne Sutton. Today we're talking about insurance, and joining us in the studio from Intact Insurance, we have Patrick Magnuson and Keith Story, along with Andrew Tablotny of Laguerre Pelling Insurance. Patrick, Keith, and Andrew want to say welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we're going to start, as we normally do, with a short self-introduction. Patrick, what can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'm Patrick Magnuson. I am the Director of Corporate Personal Lines with Intact. Been there for about 18 years, and my day-to-day sort of role and responsibility, I suppose, is to help develop the product and services that we provide to our customers.
And Andrew?
I'm a broker in Richmond. I've been a broker for 35 years. I've owned my own brokerage. I lived in Richmond for 25 years. We're a family-run business. My wife and two sons work with me, with my staff at 13. I consider myself one of the few independents that are truly out there anymore. I have been bought up by one of the big conglomerates so far. So if you stop by, you can get personalized service by the same people year after year.
Excellent. And Keith Story, you're a claims consultant. You've been on the show once before, but tell us a little bit about yourself as well.
So I'm a claims consultant. I've been with Intact for 14 years. And in that time, I was both a field adjuster and a manager. My current role is a consultant on property losses. I work with the property adjusters and examiners addressing large loss claims.
Excellent. So our goal with this show is to prove to you that this information we're going to provide today is completely worthy of your time. The information that we're going to bring to you in this conversation can actually be helpful, informative, and educational. It's information that if the need arises, you'll be very thankful that you actually took the time to listen. Patrick and Andrew and Keith, isn't that a little bit what Intact is all about?
For sure. I mean, Intact knows that in the event of a loss that you want to get back to your normal life. You want to do it as painlessly as possible.
As quickly
as possible and as seamlessly as possible. So when the event that the unforeseen happens, we're here to help you understand your policy, understand the process, and make sure that we put you back as quick as possible.
And you are the largest insurance company in Canada, are you not?
We are, yes. And that's... that allows us to have certain advantages with our claims infrastructure, and we can do some things that others can't, particularly when we start talking about catastrophic events, and we can get a lot of people on the ground quickly to help our customers get through the process. And
don't you have an actual guarantee with some of your claims?
We
or
do.
All of them?
With all of our claims, that's right. Yeah. So we'll start your claim within 30 minutes. It's guaranteed. So whether it's daytime, nighttime, weekend, there will be an Intact representative they'll be there to get you back on track.
So today's show is going to cover a variety of topics, including tips for landlords if you happen to have a rental tenant or a rental property, and a lot more information about umbrella policies. But let's just start with the basics. In general, I know it's your business, but why is insurance so important? Andrew, do you want to start us off?
Well, it should be part of your overall financial plan. What you're doing is protecting your assets, and quite often we're talking about homes. It's usually your largest asset that you have for the most part. It's not expensive. I always use the example. At Christmas time, you see these people standing on the side of the street looking at the apartment building that's burned down, and got their hands out saying, can you spare a shirt and a used couch, because I didn't bother to buy insurance to protect myself.
We hear it all too often.
Yeah.
It's almost a weekly occurrence on the news.
Yeah, it's quite sad. Insurance policy is much better than a GoFundMe page.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Many of us have a general idea when it comes to insurance, and that's basically the idea behind this show, the chance for us to talk about the options that are out there. So let's just say one has a basic policy. Let's take it to the next level. Tell us a little bit about an umbrella policy, an umbrella liability policy. Why would I need that? What is it, and why do I need it?
I've been selling them for a lot of years. Brokers now are starting to incorporate that in to their customers. They've been used for quite a while, but I've been telling my clients that they should be looking at this for quite a few years. The problem you've got is that most homeowners policies only give you $2 million liability. to put it in perspective, right now on bodily injury claims with ICBC, you're looking at 2 to 3 claims per week in the $2 to $3 million range. So if you've only got $2 million coverage and the claim is for $2.5 million, you're on the hook for that $500,000. So you may carry $5 million on your car, in which case if you hit somebody, you're fine. But if you knock somebody down a flight of stairs, you're only covered up to $2 million. You're going to have to come up with the rest. So what I talk to my clients about is using an umbrella policy. What an umbrella policy does is it acts like an umbrella. You buy a basic coverage of $1 million coverage on everything you own, whether it be your boat, your RV, your motorcycle, your homes, your cars, your seasonal cabin, whatever it is you've got, and then you buy an umbrella that covers everything else up to $5 million.
All of your contents, all of your assets, all of your
Well,
No,
your-
this
it's your
is liability.
liability.
This is liability.
liability.
Right.
Okay.
So, and that's your biggest worry is because the house insurance, if you're a few $1,000s short on your contents, I mean that's not the end of the world. But if you get involved in a lawsuit that's serious in nature, you can be looking at being in the glue for millions of dollars.
So just talking about incidents, what would be an example of a high liability claim? Like,
Well,
are we talking car accident or?
yes,
Oh,
exactly.
absolutely.
Yeah. Car accident is probably the one that most people think about. If you're rear-end a car full of doctors or something like that, and I think that's an easy example. And like Andrew said, ICBC would give you the option to buy up to $5 million, but I think our argument is maybe a more affordable option would be to buy $1 million with them and buy an umbrella policy to top up that other part. And the reason that it might be a better deal is because in addition to those auto policies, it'll extend all of your other liability exposures as well. So your personal liability. So if you're skiing and you accidentally run into somebody and break their leg, or maybe you're up at Whistler and you run into a famous hockey player and you break his leg and he's out for the season. Well, how are you going to cover his $3 million salary?
You're in trouble.
Yeah. And
So other than those, because we have talked about some of those examples before, what could be something that common? Because maybe I don't ski, so that's never going to happen to me on the ski hill.
Well, I think that we use the example that the brain surgeon. You hit the brain surgeon. Everybody says, "Oh, big dollars." But I don't think a lot of people understand that when you hit a young person, a child or a young adult, you're looking at huge dollars for those types of claims as well, because life expectancy is now, we're talking 80 plus years. So if you have to keep somebody in 24-hour care for 80 years, that's a lot of money. So you don't have to be a brain surgeon to get a large settlement these days.
Mm-hmm. So when it comes to insurance, do you find that people tend to set priorities?
Well, I think most people focus on the auto. I think that's the one that people see that as that's the one that is the most intuitive. People see car accidents all the time. People see what could be perceived as being a high dollar amount kind of claim, but there's so much more. Say, for instance, your personal liability, or if like Andrew was saying, if you bump into somebody in the stairs and then they happen to tumble down the stairs, break a hip or whatever the case is.
If you live in a condo and you cause a fire that burns the place down,
Mm-hmm.
you could be on hook for millions of dollars.
Okay. So when we were talking about umbrella policies, what do most umbrella policies include?
Well, it includes sort of all your underlying exposures that we were talking about. So your car, your home, any of the toys you have, so a boat, your jet ski, snowmobile, ATV. So basically all of those underlying policies, it will extend coverage on top of all of those. It also has a couple of other features where we call these drop-down features, because there are some things that you aren't insured for within your homeowner's policy, and the big one is the term is personal injury, which is basically things like libel and slander. So there is no coverage for that, which is interesting as we're here on the radio. I mean, there's a potential kind of situation where that could arise. But an umbrella policy would pay from $1 any sort of defense costs or punitive damages as a result of libel and slander. So it's extra coverage on top of what you have, but it's also extra coverage in addition to what you have.
So what are the advantages to carrying extra coverage other than the obvious, which you just talked about?
Well, I'm a big proponent of umbrella policies for the simple reason. If you've got kids, this policy, if you buy car insurance, most people in BC, you're buying, you under your driver's license, you have $1 million of underinsured motorist coverage. A lot of people buy the excess underinsured for $25 per vehicle, depending on who the owner of the vehicle is, to give you a total limit of $2 million. But if you're, God forbid, your child's hitting a crosswalk and they're now awarded $4.3 million because they're going to need to be taken care of for the next 80 years, you're going to get $2 million out of your excess ump and ump policy. By buying a umbrella policy, whatever limit of liability you choose, some of the policies even go up. You can even go up to $10 million. But the standard seems to be 5 seems to be the norm. So if you bought a $5 million umbrella, you would insure all members of your household up to $5 million for catastrophic injuries caused by an automobile.
Are there any other special requirements to an umbrella policy?
Well, it's just like anything else. There's underwriting requirements. So if they tend to underwrite them because they're now doing the automobiles. They want to know what kind of driving record you've had. So if you're got a large number of tickets and impaired driving and things like that, then they tend to say no. They won't underwrite you. And depending on the company, new drivers are an issue as well. So, but you may end up paying a little bit more to be able to buy coverage on an umbrella with a younger driver for a few years.
I think our general rule when we look at it is if we would write the underlying policy, we're certainly going to be willing to write an umbrella on top of it.
So just to summarize this topic of umbrella policies, some of the best points that we can remember on this?
Well, I think it's extra coverage at a very affordable price. And if you look at all your policies and if you say, what does it cost me to increase my ICBC policy from $1 million to $5 million? What does it cost me to increase my boat insurance from $1 million to $2 million? What does it cost me to increase my home insurance from $1 million to $2 million? You add up all those numbers, you'd be surprised pretty quickly that you could have just bought an umbrella policy for a larger amount of coverage for roughly the same cost.
It's roughly the same cost.
Or less, actually. I mean, put it in perspective. I mean, you can get a
consolidating all of them could actually bring my costs down.
Exactly,
Correct.
and give you huge savings, or not huge amount of coverage. The other thing, which is I like to point out to clients, is that, you rent a car when you go down to the States. Well, ICBC gives you, if you bought the Roadstar, you get $3 million. Well, this way you now have $5 million coverage over and above the $3 million that ICBC is giving. So
under an umbrella policy.
when you have an umbrella policy, yeah.
Wow, interesting. Well, now you've piqued my my curiosity, and hopefully some others as well. You're listening to Experts on Call on CL 650. I'm Joanne Sutton, and joined in studio today by the insurance experts Patrick Magnuson and Keith Story from Intact Insurance, along with Andrew Tablotny of Laguerre Pelling Insurance. We're going to continue this conversation. We'll be right back on CL 650.
This is Experts on Call on CL 650.